Hi, thanks for tuning in. Today's stream is brought to you by Collab Currency, the leading investor in Web3 consumer products, an internet game, which is the game you're about to be watching. Our next guest is the CEO of Pudgy Penguins. There's a story of trial and tribulations, but you know what? He says it a whole lot better than I do. Let's dive in.
We are now live, folks.
Okay. Let's go right here.
Luca, where are we flying in from?
Miami. I'm in Los Angeles right now.
Hell yeah. So where's most of the huddle activity going down these days?
We're pretty all over the world, but I think from a team perspective, a lot of us are based in Miami and some of us are remote. But most of our team is between LA and Miami, and I'm in a fortunate enough situation where I can just kind of go back and forth. So
hell yeah. It's not too bad of spots to bounce back from.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, I think you saw the list of questions we had going for you, and Jack's going to kick that off shortly.
Yeah.
Give me 1 second. For some reason, the Twitter Spaces is not letting me.
I'll do it.
You'll do it? Yeah. Can you pin the live stream video?
Yep.
Okay. Beautiful. Okay. In that case, let's get started. Luca, thank you so much for coming on. The CEO of the Pudgies. An e-commerce legend, something I did not know until very recently, and which leads me to my first question of, could you tell me a little bit about your relationship with Supreme Patty?
What a funny question. That's like usually nobody ever asks that one. That was, after I started my first business, my second business was a business called influencer monetization. I basically realized that influencers had millions of followers, but they didn't have millions of dollars. And so what better way to monetize their likeness than with, direct to consumer. And so that's kind of how we first met. And, at the time he kind of was the king of Instagram, at least like when I first met him, and he kind of blew up. He was kind of Nelk before Nelk and Danny Duncan before Danny Duncan. And so that was kind of my first experiment with the whole influencer monetization strategy. And then, kind of led to a lot of really other successful models that kind of entailed that same one.
Yeah, no, well, if you were with Supreme Patty, you are with what I think is like one of the pioneers of the attention economy. Yeah. And that's one of the things I've always loved about Pudgies. You take away all the frills, take away everything else. Just the Pudgy itself is enough to like kind of bring you in.
I agree.
What I'm curious about is the meme itself is incredible, but of course it's a competitive business. And so there's, very little margin. There's a limited amount of attention to get. What revenue generating products are you adding on to keep the legs under the Pudgy Penguin community strong?
Yeah, so I think our approach is a little bit of a contrarian approach. I think a lot of people are categorizing their NFTs into certain categories, i.e. the next great metaverse, or i.e. the next great play to earn game. And I don't think this is the right approach. I kind of look at NFT projects, and I think the way that NFTs really succeed is if more people start to look at them as IP companies. And when you look at a Web3 IP company, there's really 5 paths to revenue. I think first and foremost, you have consumer product goods. Second, you have licensing. Third, you have gaming. Fourth, you have film and TV. And then fifth, you have your Web3 royalties and your mints. Right now, I think a lot of NFT projects are just their main source to revenue is Ethereum royalties and Ethereum mints. And I think that's fiscally irresponsible, figuring you can't control, how successful that does on a given day per, not being able to control, Ethereum volatility or macro bull and bear markets.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. We're going to double click on the PMI partnership and like kind of how you're approaching the entire toy industry. Because, it's massive, but for selling to the youth, that's going to be huge. But one of the things I also love about Pudgy Penguins is the deep lore. The story behind this project is unbelievable. The only thing I could even mildly compare it to is maybe like MFers. For those in the audience who are unaware, could you give like a broad overview of the story behind Pudgies?
Yeah, so I mean, in the shortest form possible, it was started about 13 months ago by a group of the original founders. They went through a ton of trial and tribulations, from, not aligning with the community to hatching fishing rods and eggs to, every FUD storm in between that you could possibly imagine. And about 6 months ago, 5.5 months ago, we purchased the project. and kind of turn it around. It's interesting you bring it up because I really believe it's the most incredible Web3 story ever told. And I think the story is just beginning. But when you look at, stories in the space and figuring that we kind of came into this the underdog and now we're kind of grinding our way to the top, I think we're writing a really amazing book here, and it's only just beginning.
Yeah, no, let's keep fleshing out that story too, because I think another amazing part of this story is the part where you come in, So, it's tragedy, heartbreak, but then we get some redemption. You got Pudgy Penguins for $2.5 million. I personally think that was the steal of the century, but it was a risky move. There was no move like that, no precedent. What was going on in your head when you pulled trigger?
Yeah, it was one of those unique scenarios. I kind of have made more money than I could possibly imagine in my short entrepreneurial career. And I always wanted to kind of go into a different realm and just see how far I could push myself. I think the motivation here is more of one of competition versus making money. Like, I want to see if I can beat everybody else. And I think the team is aligned in that same regard. Like, we've accomplished a lot of things over our time, me, the last 6-7 years being an entrepreneur. And, for Pudgy, to me, it's like the ultimate test. Like, I've seen what other people have done. I'm not impressed. And so can I set the bar and can I show people, what NFTs are really about? And then the fact that they're not just, celebrity endorsements and airdrops, like, can it be more than that? And I believe they are, and I believe they can. And so leading the charge and putting our names in the Web3 history books is really what we're aiming for.
Okay, so Web3 history books, where do you see, when there's the chapter on the Pudgy Penguins, 2030, where do you see this project at? What are you guys known for?
Yeah, I think we're really going to lead the charge in what is it, and what it means to create a PFP collection and, build a community around IP. I think right now a lot of NFT projects are caught in La La Land. And what I mean by La La Land, I think they're just playing the imaginary money metaverse game. And I think that's a fiscally irresponsible game. And I also don't think it's the game that's really going to push the space forward. To me, crypto is going to gain mass adoption through the love of IP. And for me, there's no better way to invade the hearts and minds of consumers than with cute little fat Pudgy Penguins. And so you've got to turn these things into real businesses. The age of, just rinse and repeating the hype cycle and just utility being airdrops, right? That day is going to have to end, because if this space is really going to win for the greater good, then somebody's going to have to trailblaze building a real business out of this technology, right? Now, granted, NFTs in general, will win because of just the technology in general, but from an IP, PFP, this angle, this category of NFTs, right now, I just think it's a disaster. And so, how can I do what I know how to do best and bring that value back to penguin holders and really build something that, not only has an everlasting impact in a positive way, which I think is really important, but how do we build, a real business that generates billions of dollars every year? And how do we do that with a community together? And I think that's what Web3 is. I think a lot of companies right now are selling, NFTs on a blockchain and think they're a Web3 company. And I would just totally disagree, right? How do you really do it the Web3 way? And can you do it the Web3 way? Can you really build this huge company that everybody enjoys with a huge product line that's hitting on every facet? But can you do that as a unit, not only with your core team, but with your group of holders, right? And can you bring that value back? And can you not extrapolate? Right now, I think there's just an extrapolation game going on right now, where I think the team just takes from the holder base and just continues to take and take. And I want to flip that on its head. How do I bring back and just give? I think there's just I think the whole space is just messed up, and nobody's looking in my direction. Unfortunately, I've talked to so many people, and everybody just is not looking in this pragmatic, mandatory, you have to get here way. Everybody's just chasing what the top guy is doing and just trying to replicate the same formula. And I don't think that's the path to success.
That was one hell of an answer, Luca. Yeah, no, thank you for that one. I think it's interesting because you are actually taking on a very unique approach. where primarily I see these PFP communities as an alternative form of investing your attention. So, you can go to TikTok and all this other stuff, and that will give you shallow and kind of fleeting fulfillment, or you can go to these PFP communities where you can find groups of people to connect with. Now, of course, how do you elevate that connection experience, revenue generating products, which seems to be where PMI Goods comes in. Could you tell me a little bit about that relationship? And Ronan, we can keep that screen going because I'm about to start playing the game now.
Yeah, I think it just goes back into the like what we're trying to do. Like, I want to build a real business selling real products that impacts people in a real way, right? Like, I think right now, and just PMI plays a huge role in that, right? And I think there's going to be many deals of similar fashion that we do, and those are the deals that I like the best, right? Like, a really good partner, a strategic partner, and somebody that can fill in gaps that I necessarily don't want to do myself. It's about working smarter, not harder. I think a lot of people misinterpret that, and that's how I've gotten this far in life, and I will continue to keep that ethos and continue to build my businesses that way. But from our perspective, it's just like, how do you remove the fugazi that's going on right now and do something legitimate? And so that's kind of what we're going to spearhead. PMI is a huge cog in that machine, and in the coming weeks, you'll probably see there's more cogs of that machine than just PMI. But that's going to be our first crack at, does the Pudgy Penguin IP resonate with the younger demographic the way that I think it does? Which, this is not really just an opinion. I've actually done a little bit of some focus groups, but can I tap into the same angle that I've tapped into with other companies? And can I do that with Pudgy Penguins? And is there a next great penguin brand to be made? Like, do people want that, right? Like that's my objective over the next, 6 months as a CEO, is testing that thesis. I personally think there is, right? If you look at every generation's had its great penguin IP. I think Pudgy Penguins is the 2020s great penguin IP, but we'll see.
Awesome answer, Luca. Jack, if you want to pull up that stream of yours for IG, I got a couple questions I want to float Luca myself. Luca.
And then also, Ronan, real quick, hate to interrupt, but before we close up, we're going to need to hear about the history of Penguin IP, because this is the first I'm hearing about this.
Yeah, no. I mean, when you look at it, you first you had Pengu, and then you had Club Penguin, and then you had Happy Feet, and then you had March of the Penguin. I think people underestimate. I just don't think a penguin brand has been built the same way that, lion or dogs or cats or other animals have been built. And I think there's a huge opportunity for success. But penguins clearly resonate with people in a powerful way. They're cute, they're resilient, they have all the great characteristics that most human beings enjoy and like out of animals. And I think it's one of those, I think it's a no-brainer. And so, yeah.
Awesome.
All right, let's play some games, shall we?
Nice.
Let's see it. You know the rules, Jack?
No, I don't know anything about this game at all. That's the whole point of the game.
All right, basically you got 50 lives in 5 minutes, and you're going to use your 4 arrow keys to dodge all the objects and make it to the next checkpoint.
Wait, you're kidding me? I only have 5 minutes?
Yep.
Oh my gosh. Luca, are you going to hop on with this with us?
I don't think he's got a game token. Yeah.
Oh, son of a gun.
So we're going to watch you.
All right, we'll get you on the next go. Sorry, Ron. Feel free to take it away from here.
Yeah, Luca. Coming back to that, as I was saying, been in the huddle for a long time, since about last summer. One of the things I've noticed since I've been in is, like, you guys have a lot of, like, capacity to, like, elevate, like, members of the community. We've seen, like, Burko, actually agents, PP McGee. It's almost like they're an extension of the team, and I know a couple of them are, but the ability to, like, elevate these community members and actually have them push the brand forward, like, on their own, right? Like, with the crazy, I know PP McGee has, like, some of the best memes in crypto, but, like, how did you guys fit them into the team? And, like, how do you guys see bringing on, like, esteemed community members onto the team in some sort of capacity?
Yeah, so I think like 75 to 80% of the people that we pay are from the community. Like, our staff internally is a community staff. And again, like, this is where I have every intention to set the standard of what building a real Web3 company looks like, right? Like, and it's weird because a lot of employees over the businesses that I've started, it's a very interesting dynamic of clocking in and clocking out. But when you hire from the community, you don't get that same type of rapport. It's almost as if they feel like they own equity in the business, which like by some form of like, perspective, you could argue that they do. And so like I look back at it and like I really want to be the guy that sets the standard of like what it is to build a Web3 company and how you do it and like what are the steps to do it. Like if you look at like our story, we didn't mint at least our situation is like we purchased it, right? We put $2.5 million in. Okay, like we didn't just do what we thought was in the best interest of the Penguins. Like we talked to the community. We spent a week in Discord, hours every single day, like figuring out how to curate the vision, right? We've hired 75% of our staff directly from the community. Like where Pudgy Penguins will go 5 years from now, it's not going to be my credit to take. It's going to be the entire community's credit. Because once we succeed and we get to where I know we're going to want to be, you're going to look back at it and it's going to be a real team effort. It's going to be a real Web3 effort, right? And so my goal is when I look back at this 5 years from now, we've set the standard and set the bar as to what it is to build a real Web3 company, right? And not just like, build a Web2 company and just sell things on the blockchain, which I think a lot of people are doing. And so like, I believe in Web3 to my core. I think this is the new era of how businesses are going to be ran, but nobody's really leading the charge as to like how to do that at the highest level and how to really set the bar. And to me, I'm like embodying everything that I know and what I believe Web3 to be about. And right now it's working, right? Like right now, like I feel like our productivity is a lot higher than most. We're a lot leaner than most of these businesses. And I think our vision is a lot clearer. But beyond that, like the core foundational pillar to everything that we're doing, it's like, it's a group effort. I can't stress this enough. And like, I know some people will like to sing my praises and I think that's cool. And I'm flattered, but it's really not mine to take or my credit to take. It's a complete team effort. And I'm just the person putting it all together, right? I'm the glue to the machine. But beyond that, it is, we are writing, and I can't overstate this, like we are writing the most beautiful story that not only that Web3's ever told, but I think when this thing is all said and done, that one of the most beautiful stories in business and entrepreneurship in general. Like I really believe that, right? Because with every bone in my body, I believe that Pudgy Penguins can be number one and will be number one when it comes to PFP NFTs.
Awesome. In depth. I love it. I guess just building off that first question again, it's like, I assume that was kind of the thought process behind the soulbound tokens, right? And I don't know who on the team pulled that off, but that was super dope. But I guess it's kind of same idea, right? You're just trying to elevate and like prove and reward kind of these longer term, longer vision community members who can like, and it's like, obviously the whole point, right? It's not transferable, but like, it's amazing. Like, I know I appreciate it as a huddler because like it proves that I've been around and I've been through all the shit, right? So that was super cool to see. Jack, looks like this game's about to get going. Yeah, we slow on it. Yeah, that Wi-Fi's lagging a little bit, it seems. But Luca, a couple more questions your way. I know we only got a couple more minutes here. But outside of the toys, outside of the soulbound tokens, outside of all the stuff that's been public, is there anything that you are particularly excited about for the community? It doesn't need to be anything tangible like the tours. But yeah, just anything you're particularly excited about.
I think this Sunday, just watch the Pudgy Penguins Twitter. And, what you guys will see is something that I'm excited about, which is like core to my values and like what makes me passionate about IP in general, which really, I think, a little bit of alfalfa, kind of leads into like storytelling and what that looks like. Like I'm somebody that had a pretty rough childhood growing up, and like stories, I think, attributed to like kind of saving my life many, many times. So I think it's going to be, anybody listening, look out for Sunday, Pudgy Penguins Twitter. I think it'll kind of be the first iteration of our vision for like how we want to tell stories and I think not a lot of people, or I know not a lot of people are doing it the way that we're going to do it.
All right, folks, you heard it here first. A little alfalfa this Sunday coming from the Pudgy Penguins team. Luca, super grateful to have you on, sir. Jack, unless you have any more questions. Or if we
Yeah,
get this game
I think
going.
it's time for us to start. We'd like to close out every little slot here with a question. What's your hottest take in crypto right now?
What's my hottest take in crypto right now? My hottest take in crypto right now is Pudgy Penguins is the best PFP project in the space.
All right, sir. Love to hear it.
It's my hottest take.
Ferocious.
That's true.
That's one. All right, guys. Well, it was a pleasure. Thank you for having me on, and continue enjoy the rest of your sprint, because I know you guys are on here for the next 10 hours. It sounds like, right?
You got 5.5, but yeah. Thank you, sir. Much appreciated.
Thank you, guys.